And talking about that, so Eugene, I guess Eugene is kind of a medium-sized city, but I feel like a lot of the local investing success stories that I've seen around the US have been in smaller or more rural communities where I guess they're tied together by geography as well as potentially common interest. If it's a farming town, they're tied together by some kind of product or industry. Would you say that most of the local investments that you've seen are in these smaller towns, or do you think there are just as many in urban and larger cities? We just perhaps don't see them as much.
That is a difficult question to answer, in part because I live in the Bay Area. There are 4 million people there, and there are a lot of venture capitalists. Everybody wants to start their own startup, and there are a lot of angel investment groups and so on. So I don't know if the abundance of entrepreneurs in that area also translate into a number of possibilities that regular folks can access. Right? I mean, to a certain extent, in the Bay Area, there are a lot of opportunities, but if you're an accredited investor, if you're plugged into one of those networks, but for someone who is not part of that network that wants to invest, probably there aren't that many avenues for learning about those opportunities as they would exist in a small town or a rural area. In a rural area, there are stronger connection. People know who's in town, especially if someone has a business, they're probably known within the community. And so I think it's probably easier to do local investing or learning about local investing in smaller communities, even though the smaller communities have probably fewer entrepreneurs that would go out and raise capital. But I've seen, for example, San Luis Obispo is a very interesting case where they started doing some local investing there, and within a year they had 7 investments made. And in contrast, in the Northern California network of slow money, it took us 3 years before we made our first investment, just because there were all these opportunities. We didn't really know how to find the right fit and how we would be known to potential entrepreneurs that we were there looking for opportunities to invest in farm and food enterprises. But in a town like San Luis Obispo, everybody knows each other. Okay, that the new co-op has started, and they can get the word out. So I would say in smaller and rural areas, it is easier for people to find out what the investment opportunities are, although those are probably far and few in between. Right.
And I guess we were thinking today, maybe it doesn't have to just be geography, though. There are certain, so as far as I know, slow money came out of the slow food movement, so a lot of it is tied to food and farming. But there might be other industry-specific or community-specific. For example, maybe the LGBT community might focus on a company that's in that area, and that would already have some stronger bonds that might assist that education and getting the word out about that business, as opposed to something more generic that just throws it out at all communities.
Well, the other thing is, if we're talking about investments that are open to everybody, then we're talking about, in Oregon at least, the community public offering.
Right.
And those are successful if you already have a network of followers, of customers and people that like and appreciate what you do, right? So in other words, in order to be successful at doing a CPO, you need to already have your network of supporters and people that you know. Just because you have a CPO doesn't mean that they're going to come if you're not known in your community.